Hi there, my name's Luke, welcome back to Photo Buy, and today is something very special. No, it's not the weather, as you can probably tell. No, we're checking out the Nikon Z5. Let's get into it. So do excuse the wind. I did try to hide behind a bush, but the wind is changing direction, so we're just gonna hope the mic that I have on at the moment is gonna basically fix the issue or keep it at bay. But anyway, this is the Nikon Z5. This will sit under the Nikon Z6. This is also a full frame camera, so it sits above the Z50, and it's not replacing anything. It's a brand new model, and to be honest with you, we really like it. It's a really good camera, and we're going to be going about, we're going to be testing it out and seeing how it performs and letting you know all about it. So the actual controls of the Z5 are actually relatively easy. So you've got your exposure contrast up here, as well as your ISO dial. So it makes taking control of things extremely easy. And when it comes to accessing any of the important bits like different types of autofocus, you can just press the I for information and it comes up. So that saves you going into the main menu, and you can kind of use the on-screen menu. So it makes using it a lot easier and also a lot faster, which is the main point. So I've got it set up and I'm just taking a couple of photos. All I'm really doing is I'm actually scouting out a location, because we're going to be coming out with a film series soon on Photo Buy, and I'm just kind of getting some ideas of what I'd like to photograph and kind of questioning whether or not they would work. So I'm saving myself some film, some very expensive film, and shooting it digital. Now, I know many film photographers will probably say that's blasphemy, but I'm on a budget. New angle. I'm such a good filmmaker. Honestly, I get caught up so much with taking photos, I forget I've got something recording me, and I should be focused on that. So apologies, I'm in the flow. What's nice as well is the fact that this actually, let me just put that away. You actually have a joystick. Yeah, got a oh, hang on, let me turn it off. Hey, dual card slots. It's like they listen to us, which is odd. Anyway, it has dual card slots. So like the Z6 and Z7, they ran on C files or XQD or whatever you want to call them. But going SD makes this just a little bit more affordable, because you're not forking out £100 on new memory cards. You can just stick to the ones you got, which is fantastic, because honestly, it saves you a penny, doesn't it? That's the main thing. So in terms of the sensor, it's the same as the Z6, being a 24 megapixel sensor. It also has 5-axis image stabilization, which means low lit days like these won't be an issue if you're going to be going down a few stops on the exposure. Now, you've also got some very common dials, and you'll also be able to tell there is no screen like the Z6 or Z7. So we can tell this is definitely more on the budget side. I don't really like calling it budget, but like intermediate, entry-level, full frame mirrorless goodness, then yes, it'll sit in that one. In terms of the actual ports that it has on there, you've actually got headphone and microphone jack, which, to be honest, is something we're still fighting and talking about in 2020, but it's nice to know we're finally getting it on this camera. You've also got your USB-C, so we did check, you can't charge it unless you change to a different battery. I'll put the battery that you need here, because there's so many EL15s, it's hard to keep up with it all. I want to say it's a B, something telling me it's probably a C, but yeah, it'll be here for you to know. And lastly, you've also got HDMI, and you also have the remote. So not crazy covered in ports, but does have functional ones, which is the main thing. And when it comes to using it, it really is very, very easy to use. If you're used to a Nikon system, it's no different. Menus will remain the same, and the viewfinder is a 3.9 megapixel viewfinder, which, to be honest with you, is actually really good. Like, you can kind of make out the pixels if you're really looking for it, but if you're not trying, you probably won't see them. And the clarity out of it is amazing, so you're not questioning whether things are going to be in focus or not. It's just there for you to have a look. Fantastic. Yeah, it nailed it. Well done, Nikon. You actually made a good camera. Well, you have made good cameras, like the D850. That was... You did well with that one. This one, we'll get to that in a second, because there's something we need to discuss, and it involves your wallet. So what's up for discussion, Luke? Well, this kit here, the Z5 with the 24-50, goes for around £1,700, which, you know, it's a pretty substantial amount of money, a big investment. Even if you did sell your gear, you're probably still forking out 500 to 1,000, depending on what you have, maybe a bit more. But you can buy a Z6 for less. New boxed and all. Depending where you go, you can either pick it up for anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500. Now granted, you may not necessarily get it with this lens or without a lens, but if you're a Nikon user, just go grab the FTX adapter and you can be on your way. That's a lot of money you've got to fork out for a Z5 new when the Z6 is just around the corner. But there are some caveats with that, one of them being the memory. That memory in there, SD cards, you probably already have them, you most likely still have them. So you're going to change over to a different memory format, and as I already told you, that format's not cheap. For a 64 gig a 64 gigabyte card is in the realm of about 100 to 150 pounds, depending on which brand you go for, and even that's limiting. So, should you be going out and buying the Z5? I'd recommend it. I would go with the body only with the FTX adapter. The 24-50 is good, but you are limited in terms of your range. In fact, I'll just take a quick picture now. We'll just go with some scenery out in the background there. So we'll just line it up to center, take a picture, zoom, take another picture, and there's not much difference to me. I mean, this is definitely more of like a wide angle sort of user's camera during daytime, not nighttime, because of the f4 to 6.3 aperture change is something you normally see reserved for zoom lenses, but the reason being is they made it small, so that obviously creates compromises. But overall, the camera's very impressive, the resolution's amazing, the 5-axis image stabilization is amazing. The RAW files, because it's a full frame, it's got a slight edge on crop sensors, so that would definitely move you away from the Z50, but it does come down to question of whether or not this would be what reduces you from going for the Z6 because of the actual memory that this takes. Now that is a decision for you to make, not for me to make for you, but we're just going to put it out there. But overall, the camera is very well made. The body feels a little bit smaller because if I grab it comfortably, my pinky does slip off, and I don't recall it doing that with the Z6 or Z7 because they have the same body. But it is just something to be mindful of. I haven't got the biggest of hands, and the fact that that happens, so if you've got, you know, pretty large hands, that may be something that might change you from going from one camera body to another. One of the nice features I like about the dial is the fact that they haven't added on like sport mode, landscape mode, portrait mode, and instead they've actually offered you 3 custom dials. So if you want to set one for video, one for photo, one for sport, you can do that, and you haven't got to mess around with the other settings. So it's a great system. I do wish there was a lock feature because it is a pretty easy one to move like that. Am I making the point? Good. Yeah, that's one of the issues, but apart from that, that's okay. Switching between video and photo is easy. It's just the switch, really, that's all it is. 1080p at 60 frames a second, no option for slow-mo. Really? Really? Well, color me disappointed. I was kind of hoping this would, you know, help pull over some video users to the Z5. Apparently not. So unless you are happy with 1080p at 60 frames a second and 4K at 30 frames a second, this guy is for you, but do not expect any, what do they call it now? N-log. So if you're looking to use a flat profile, there is a flat profile, but that's about as log as you will be getting on this camera. Bit disappointing. They could have added a bit more. It could have really pulled over some video users into the Nikon space because they do make some good glass, but alas, you know, it's the way things are. But yeah, that's our review of the Nikon Z5. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, my name's Luke, this is Photo Bite, and that's a sheep. So yeah, that's what you get for filming in a field. Anyway, my name's Luke, this is Photo Bite, and we'll see you next time.